It started with a glance, a quiet spark that no one on set could deny. When Dylan, Wang, and Shen Yue were cast together for the first time, fans expected chemistry, but what they got was something far deeper, something that neither of them could have scripted. Behind the scenes, away from the bright studio lights and cameras, a genuine connection began to grow, one that changed everything for both of them. During a recent interview, Dylan sat back in his chair, eyes thoughtful, his usual confidence softened by sincerity. When asked about his most unforgettable co-star, he smiled faintly and said Shen Yue's name. The room went still. It wasn't the first time their names had been linked, but this moment felt different. His words carried emotion, the kind that wasn't rehearsed or calculated. He admitted that working with Shen Yue was one of the most meaningful experiences of his career, but what followed next left everyone speechless. He began talking about the first time he saw her. It wasn't on camera, he said, but during a casual script reading. She walked in wearing something simple, her hair tied up loosely, with no makeup, and yet she carried a warmth that filled the room. He couldn't explain why, but something about her presence calmed him. It wasn't just attraction, it was comfort, like finding a piece of peace in a chaotic world. That, he confessed, was the moment he knew she was special. As their drama filming continued, the connection only grew stronger. Crew members noticed the way Dylan's attention always seemed to follow Shen Yue, the way their laughter intertwined naturally even after long, exhausting days. There were moments when the director would yell, "Cut," but Dylan would still linger, eyes still lost in her smile. Fans watching their chemistry on screen didn't realize they were witnessing something real, something unspoken between two souls who understood each other perfectly without words. Shen Yue, when asked about Dylan, once described him as someone misunderstood. "People think he's just confident," she said softly, "but he's actually deeply thoughtful. He notices everything. Even when you think he's joking, he's paying attention." Those words echoed a hidden tenderness, one that hinted at something beyond friendship. Their bond was tested during the long filming hours. There were scenes that drained them emotionally, especially moments where they had to portray heartbreak. In one particular late-night shoot, Shen Yue struggled to deliver a crying scene. Dylan quietly approached her between takes, no cameras rolling, and simply said, "Don't act. Just feel." That night, her tears were real, and when the director shouted, "Cut," Dylan didn't leave her side. He handed her a tissue, stayed quiet, and waited until she calmed down. That silent gesture said everything words couldn't. Months later, when the show ended, rumors began to swirl. Were they dating? Were those emotions real? Neither of them confirmed nor denied, but their eyes told a story the world could read. During a press event, a reporter asked Dylan directly if he had ever fallen in love with Shen Yue. The audience held its breath. Dylan smiled slightly and said, "How could anyone not?" The crowd erupted. Shen Yue looked down, her cheeks flushed, and fans swore they saw tears glisten in her eyes. Even after moving on to new projects, the bond between them never faded. They still supported each other quietly on social media. Shen Yue would post a cryptic message about gratitude, and Dylan would like it within minutes. Once, when Shen Yue faced harsh criticism online, Dylan was the first to defend her publicly, saying that kindness and sincerity were what made her different. That moment alone made headlines, and fans couldn't stop talking about it for weeks. What made their connection even more powerful was how natural it was. There were no grand declarations, no staged moments, just real emotions shown in the smallest gestures, a lingering look, a protective touch, an unspoken understanding. People could feel that their relationship wasn't about fame or attention, it was about something purer. Recently, Dylan opened up again in an emotional behind-the-scenes documentary. He revealed that working with Shen Yue changed his perspective on love entirely. "I used to think love was about excitement," he said, "but she taught me it's about peace. When I was around her, I didn't have to try. I could just be myself." His voice cracked slightly at the end, and he looked away, clearly fighting back tears. That confession touched fans deeply, spreading across social media like wildfire. Shen Yue, too, was asked about Dylan in a separate interview. Her answer was short but powerful. He makes people feel safe, she said quietly. Even when everything feels heavy, he finds a way to make it light. Those words alone reignited endless discussions online, with fans dissecting every phrase, every emotion, convinced that the love between them was real, even if never publicly confirmed. There were also reports that the two reunited privately months later at a friend's gathering. Sources said they spent most of the night talking quietly in a corner, laughing like no time had passed. One person who was present described it as two people who still carried something for each other, even after everything. That image stayed with everyone, the idea that sometimes real love doesn't need to be shouted from rooftops, it just exists, quietly, eternally. As the story continues to spread, fans from around the world are falling in love all over again with the idea of Dylan and Shen Yue together. Their connection isn't just about fame or acting, it's about authenticity in an industry full of facades. Dylan's recent confession only confirmed what fans had always believed, that their hearts recognized each other long before the world did. In the end, Dylan's words summed it up perfectly. When you meet someone who makes you forget the world for a moment, that's rare. I'll always be grateful for her. And just like that, the world fell silent once more, hearts melting, as one of the most beautiful untold love stories in modern Cdrama history found its truth, not in headlines, but in the honesty of two hearts that once collided on screen and perhaps beyond it. The studio lights had gone dim, but the energy between them still glowed like a quiet flame that refused to die. After Dylan's confession, there was a silence, not of awkwardness, but of something deeper. Shen Yue stood there, motionless, her eyes glistening as if she was trying to hold back tears that carried too many memories. She whispered softly, almost as though afraid the air itself might shatter the moment, "Do you really mean it, Dylan?" He smiled faintly, that same smile that once melted millions of fans through screens, but this time, it wasn't for the cameras. It was raw, unfiltered, and full of truth. "I meant every word, he said. You were never just a co-star. You were the reason I started believing in love stories again. I didn't fall for your character. I fell for the way you look at people like they matter. I fell for your quietness, your chaos, your honesty. I fell for you." The room felt suspended in time. Even the crew members who had pretended not to listen couldn't hold back the emotion. There was something breathtaking about watching two people finally say what had been unsaid for years. Shen Yue took a deep breath. "You have no idea how many nights I replayed those scenes in my head," she admitted. "I told myself it was just acting, that you were just doing your job. But somewhere in between all those retakes and rehearsals, I realized I wasn't pretending anymore." Her voice broke slightly, and Dylan stepped closer, his hand gently brushing away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "Then why didn't you tell me?" he asked softly. She gave a small, trembling laugh. "Because I was scared. Because you were rising, you had everything going for you, and I didn't want to be the one who complicated your world." Dylan's reply came like a whisper of reassurance. "You were never a complication, Shen Yue. You were the calm in it all." For a moment, they just stood there. No lights, no script, no crew, just two people finally being honest after years of pretending. Outside, the night had turned quiet, and the city lights blinked like distant stars. The confession that fans had long prayed to hear had finally been spoken, not on camera, not in a scene, but in real life. Later that night, as they walked out of the building, reporters tried to catch a glimpse, but Dylan shielded Shen Yue with his jacket, whispering something that only she could hear. Her laughter broke the tension, light and free, the kind of laughter that comes when a heavy secret finally lifts. And that's when it became clear, their story wasn't about fame or fan theories. It was about two hearts that met on screen but found truth off it. A few days later, Dylan posted a short caption online that sent the internet into chaos. It reads simply, "Some stories don't need scripts, they just need honesty." Within minutes, fans knew exactly what he meant. The confession had become real. Shen Yue liked the post. No words. No emojis. Just a quiet acknowledgement that spoke louder than anything else. And as the world watched, one thing became certain. No matter where life takes them, this love, born between lights and cameras, will forever be remembered as one of the most beautiful stories ever told. Because sometimes, love doesn't begin in grand gestures or end with applause. Sometimes, it begins in silence and ends in truth.